Hello everybody, welcome to the Centbee Show. I'm your host Lorien and my co-host is Globetrotter, Kage and Chingila. Hey, hi.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. So you managed to get to London and hit the conference. I was very pleased to see you there.
Oh yeah, man, and that was pretty awesome, man. Such a smooth trip, no glitches.
Yeah.
Right through and through, just from SA to Heathrow, like no problem. Actually, I had a transfer flight. I landed in Addis, Ethiopia. Also, a nice experience just to see like the difference in how we actually operate, as people.
Yes, exactly. And what was nice about being in London is that we have people from all over the world who are interested in BSV coming to the conference, and which is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the conference that we were just at, the London Blockchain Conference, the world's biggest blockchain conference focused on BSV.
Jeez, man, I was glad I was there, man, because this was like, it's the main event to be at regarding the blockchain, so definitely like one of the best experiences I've had because it was more of an insightful trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we got to meet all the BSVers, the companies that are building out apps and platforms and infrastructure on Bitcoin SV.
Yeah.
So it was great to be part of that, where you have a community, everybody focused on the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you noticed that at the conference there were no charts and prices, discussions.
None of that.
It was all about what can BSV do
in the real world.
In the real world that can improve systems, can make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And we got to meet some people that we've obviously followed online, and now we get a chance to go and see those people.
That was cool.
From companies that are innovating in the space.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that you managed to go there. And of course, what was cool is that when we got to the conference, people were calling me Mr. G, and they knew you. They wanted to come over and say hi at our booth, our beautiful booth.
Yeah, man, our booth was pretty awesome. It brought some life to the conference, I have to say. Funny enough, on the previous show, we were saying we crossing our toes for my visa to be ready.
Yeah.
And I just got in time, and then we got to represent. Because for me, it was all about that. Centbee had to be there just to represent, the brand, just to show that BSV can be cool and relevant to the younger crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. I think one of the most outstanding things about Centbee is that it's a consumer app. It's a consumer wallet for youth.
Yeah.
So out of all the booths at the conference, ours was the most youthful and fun and vibrant. I mean, it was the art that you created for it was so exciting.
Yeah.
People would come by and they would just eyes would be caught and they'd want to know more. What are you guys doing? What is this all about?
Yeah.
So it was great to be able to have a booth, to be able to express our brand and really just add some color to that conference.
Yeah.
And then we had a whole bunch of merch too.
Yeah, man. That was
merch.
That was pretty awesome actually, because it was funny how even it caught everyone's eye more than anything. It wasn't just attract the younger crowd. People in their middle ages, they actually wanted to find out what the brand was about, because like we are saying, our focus is more to bring the uncomplex element of this BSV space. It's about just having a cool wallet where you can buy stuff, your daily needs, instead of charts, prices and stuff like that. That's too complicated for an average user.
Yes, that's right. I mean, what we want to do is we want to demonstrate that BSV is digital cash, global digital cash.
Yeah.
And that's why Centbee is just such a great way to experience that, because we, of course, are trying hard to make a unique, fresh experience, something around payments. What I notice a lot of these days is apps like WhatsApp and Telegram, they're all trying to shove payments into those platforms. And of course, when you think about that, if you think, well, gee, how are we going to compete with these guys? They've got hundreds of millions of users, and if they shove payments into their apps, then it kind of makes us sort of the real underdogs.
Yeah.
But when I think about Centbee isn't an existing app that is trying to shove payments into it. We've decided to build Centbee around payments and to create this unique, fresh experience that makes payments and paying for things and buying things and sending money just a much more fun experience. Of course, we brought in the social element. We have chats and we have rewards. So instead of us trying to create an existing app and then shoving payments into it, I feel like Centbee really does offer a unique, fresh experience. If you want payments, you're not necessarily going to go to WhatsApp. But if you go and look and grab Centbee, that app is just purely focused around payments, bringing in the social elements to make it more viral.
That's true, Ms. G, because like you're saying, if you look at WhatsApp, it'll be sort of like a forced feature. We solely know WhatsApp as for chatting, you know, so it becomes a little bit complex when now they want to integrate stuff that, you know, has to do with payments and stuff. So obviously we try to make it more cooler and more youthful in a way. And I think that makes Centbee outstanding because, like you're saying, at least there's that, you know, core element of it being built around payments, but not forgetting the daily interaction that people go through, like chatting and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a great time. I mean, we were there for just over a week. And then after the London Blockchain Conference, I had to go directly to Lagos.
Who's the real globetrotter now?
The Lagos conference was a RegTech conference. It's the biggest RegTech conference in Africa. In fact, it's called the RegTech Africa Conference. And that's where they have regulators and central bankers and other law enforcement and businesses, big businesses like MTN, that big telco in Africa. And I was given the opportunity to present a keynote around BSV Blockchain.
That's cool.
I'm hoping that the video comes out.
They're exclusive.
They I'll hold on to them. But if they do come out, then we'll be sure to get that video and point our users to it. But the point of that video was, again, I mean, this is what I do all the time, is try and draw a difference and show the difference between crypto and BSV blockchain. Everybody thinks BSV is just another crypto. And of course, crypto is all about hiding things, you know, making things difficult to track, difficult to control. And that was a really great opportunity to go and speak to very important regulators and government officials and big business leaders at the Africa RegTech conference in Lagos, and to explain to them that BSV blockchain is not crypto. In fact, I even titled the talk, Blockchain is Built for Regulation, because that is what blockchain is for.
It really is.
I mean, the point of it being a transparent ledger, a public ledger, also one that is sustained by miners, that makes it inherently a regulation system, because now if you want to be able to trace payments, track payments through a system, if you want to be able to link identities to payments, if you also want to seize payments, you know, let's say there's money that's been caught up in drug dealing or money laundering. Nobody knows this, well, not nobody, but very few people know this in the world, but blockchain, BSV blockchain, the way Satoshi created it, was built so that government could have control over things. And in fact, I think it was even touched on at the blockchain conference. We'll go through some of the talks that were presented at the blockchain conference. But being able to seize funds, if money is being identified with money laundering or terrorist financing, be able to redirect those funds. That was the point of the mining network. Miners have to grow large and spend enormous amounts of money so that they become visible to law enforcement. And that's what keeps them honest. Because now they can't go and process transactions if a regulator or a law enforcement official has come and said, this payment is linked to money laundering, we require you to freeze that payment. If they don't comply with the law, well, then they lose all that investment. Their mining operation gets shut down.
That's not worth the risk.
That was the whole point of honesty. If you read the white paper, it talks about honesty. And honesty, people behave honest when they don't want to get into trouble. And so the biggest false narrative in crypto is that you can't control it. It's ungovernable. Whereas BSV blockchain, the whole point was that it was controllable and governable and visible to law enforcement and could be used as a regulation tool. And that was the gist of the whole talk, is that these central bankers, they can issue currencies. In fact, there's an e-Naira, CBDC, central bank digital currency in Nigeria. And they've obviously created their own network and they're trying to run this e-Naira system. But BSV blockchain would be the perfect solution for them, when it comes to security and stability and reliability
Scalability,
and low cost of the transactions. So I got a great opportunity to explain this to them. So it was a real great opportunity, and I'm very glad to have gone. That was my second time I've been spoken at the RegTech Africa. So slowly, bit by bit, bringing real information to the world. You know, I don't speak at crypto conferences anymore. I speak at government conferences and industry conferences, and manage to get the real information out there.
But shout out to you, Mr. G. I mean, trying to evangelize BSV, and properly so, you know, in the right direction, in Satoshi's vision, because we need governments that are also open to systems that promote honesty, because we can see that it's pretty much a global problem that we're all facing because of a broken system. So BSV is definitely, you know, the future we should be focusing on.
That's for sure.
So yeah, Ms. G, at the London blockchain conference, it was a 3-day conference, but there was also the DevCon.
Yes.
That took place. So what was going down there?
Right, so there was the 3-day general conference. This was just for general audiences, people interested in BSV, and there were many tracks. But on the first day, there was what was called the BSV DevCon, and that just means the developer conference. And so a number of developers, people in the industry who had been working on projects, they came and gave us an overview of those projects and how they are doing. Very interesting in terms of the future of BSV and the scaling that is happening at the moment. Now we have touched on a company called Scrypt before. They presented their high-level programming language for smart contracts. So if you are a smart contract developer on BSV, but you know, writing scripts, BSV scripts, is really complicated.
I can imagine.
Yeah, you know, it's really hard to read. It's kind of like what's called an assembly language. You know, it just looks like these little short codes. But what Scrypt does is it provides a way for you to write smart contracts using TypeScript. Which is what most developers are familiar with, JavaScript, TypeScript.
That's cool.
And so they just gave us an overview on how you can create, you can write a smart contract, in other words, a little bit of code, a bit of logic that runs on the BSV blockchain. And you don't have to now try and figure out how to write those little Bitcoin script shortcodes. You can actually go and write a program just like you would with a normal program in TypeScript.
That's awesome.
With type safety and all these types of things, it seems. And then what it does is it compiles it down to Bitcoin script.
That's cool.
And then you can then go and execute those smart contracts. So for people who are interested in looking at smart contracts, but it just seems a bit daunting when it comes to the Bitcoin script, Scrypt is certainly the best way at this stage to write complicated smart contracts, but in a very simple way using TypeScript.
That's a super cool innovation, especially regarding the fact that a lot of devs, you know, they understand a specific language. So just to make it so simple for everyone to just easily join the community is so cool. So yeah, Ms. G, I mean, we try to appeal to the younger crowd, like we were saying, and currently NFTs and tokens are like the in thing. Was that touched base on?
Yes, it was touched on. There's a guy called David Case, and he is working on a project called the OneSat Ordinals for BSV tokens.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's a really neat, very elegant way of creating tokens on the BSV blockchain. Of course, tokens can apply to all sorts of things, not just the way they're being used in terms of making digital art unique, or you know how we have these trading cards and that sort of thing. So there was definitely talk around that, and so if you want to check out how to create tokens on the BSV blockchain, then check out the OneSat Ordinals project. And you can go and look up David Case. He's running that project.
And also, I got the privilege of meeting Kurt from Gorilla Pool.
Oh, Kurt Wackett.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yes, he was our neighbor at the booth.
I heard about Jungle Buzz. What is that all about?
Yes, so Gorilla Pool is a mining operation on BSV, and Kurt Wackett, well, he says he's not the CEO. He says the CEO is an actual gorilla. So I guess he's the representative. I remember him saying that. And so they are a mining operation, but they have this cool thing called the Jungle Bus. One of the things about the Bitcoin blockchain is that it's not very easy to search for transactions linked to addresses. Bitcoin isn't a relational database, where you can say, for this address, give me all the transactions linked to this address. And Centbee even has our own implementation of this, where we have to link transactions to addresses so that when users recover their wallets, we can make sure we get all their transactions and what's called their UTXOs, their unspent coins. And Jungle Bus now is creating a infrastructure so that if you want to be able to reference Bitcoin and you want to be able to search the Bitcoin blockchain, then you don't have to go and roll your own, you don't have to develop your own. You can go and use the Jungle Bus infrastructure. And I hope maybe we can bring up an image that was on their booth. They had this great
Gorilla, the image. You mean
with the showing you the layers?
Oh yeah,
yes.
that was pretty cool because it actually sort of like summarizes how the whole infrastructure is, and for someone who doesn't even understand the whole stuff, it just lays it out there for you to see.
Yeah. So that's a great company, Gorilla Pool, offering infrastructure as a service to businesses who want to be able to query the blockchain but don't want to have to go and build out those indexes. So definitely recommend it. Go and have a look at Gorilla Pool's Jungle Bus. It looks really great. And of course, Kurt Wackett is well-known podcaster in the BSV space, very experienced, knows Bitcoin like very, very few people. And he's the historian, in fact. I think
straight up.
He's
an OG for sure.
Right. I mean, his official title, well, one of his official titles is Bitcoin historian. So his job has been to explain the history of Bitcoin and why we have gotten to this point today with all these different.
And he's been in the fight, Joe.
Yeah, he's been in the fight. So he's a great person to look into, and of course his company's got some great stuff going on there.
Yeah. Also the HandCash guys.
Yes, HandCash for them.
Yeah, sorry, what you call it, the HandCash Connect, because I see it's like trying to also, BSV is pretty cool in terms of the companies that are involved in the space. They're trying to also build that community ethic around it,
Yes, I think what's important is there are a lot of entrepreneurs who want to be able to build on BSV and bring BSV into their apps. But the Bitcoin infrastructure and architecture and how you actually run it is very complicated. I mean, for one, you need, like we just spoke about, the Jungle Bus indexes, and that's a considerable piece of engineering.
I'm thinking
you can imagine. And so it's really hard when you want to get stuck into this and you want to try and bring BSV into your business. Where do you start? And HandCash, not only having their gaming platform, that gaming market where you can trade NFTs and do all that stuff, have play fun games, they've also made part of their infrastructure available in what's called HandCash Connect, which also comes with an SDK. And so if you want to be able to use BSV in your projects, but you don't want to have to manage a wallet or all that sort of thing and how transactions get propagated and all that, then HandCash Connect is a great way for you to dive in and start using BSV without having to worry about all the complicated stuff. And so you're right, there are companies out there, it's really great, who are providing this infrastructure as a service. With Centbee, we've had to always build everything ourselves, and it's taken a lot of time, and it runs at enormous cost. Other people want to get things moving a bit faster. And so I definitely recommend checking out HandCash Connect. It's a great way for you to integrate BSV blockchain into your apps, and then you don't have to worry about all the wallet stuff and the indexing stuff and all that kind of thing. Let HandCash and Jungle Bus worry about that for you, and you can focus on actually building cool products.
But shout out to those guys for getting their hands dirty, man. I mean, these are like, still new waters to be tested and intricate ground. So you can imagine the hard work that's been put in, like just for, solid businesses to be built,
Absolutely. If we want this industry to progress, if we wanted to move quickly, we have to make sure that there is an environment where it's easy for people to get onboarded. If it's going to take a long time and at great cost with great skills, then clearly we're not going to move very fast in BSV. So it's great that these companies are out there, and we definitely appreciate them.
Yeah, even like people like yourself, Ms. G, even the ambassadors, the BSV ambassadors, everyone is just in the space to try to, grow the community in a way that has never been seen before. Because I look at it like from all angles, whether it's the regulation side, like you were saying. I mean, you were in rich tech right now, trying to get on board with people who, the key players basically, and then now there's builders on the other side getting together. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. That, speaking of the ambassadors, that was also great. We got to meet together all the ambassadors from around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many countries represented there, east to west.
Cool.
So it's great to get everybody's take on things and hear about the successes they have and the difficulties they have, and just be able to support each other. It's great having this global network of BSV advocates trying to push things forward, and it really makes for a great community.
It really does, yeah. Also, I got the privilege to meet, is it Ty from...
Ty Everett.
Yeah, Everett.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. From Project Babbage.
Right.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff happening there.
Yes, Ty is probably the genius.
Yeah.
I mean, when he starts talking about Bitcoin and the things that he's doing. Project Babbage is a very interesting project. He gave a talk at the BSV DevCon about how Bitcoin can be used as a general computing system.
Yeah.
Now, one of the famous things around blockchain that people have falsely thought for a long time is that Bitcoin wasn't what was called Turing complete. And all that means is that you can't run typical programs that have conditions and loops and all that sort of thing. And what was surprising for a lot of people, and which is now becoming fully developed, is how Bitcoin is a Turing complete system.
Yeah.
Obviously, with low cost transactions, it's possible to be able to create general purpose. I mean, we talked about smart contracts, but then, also just what Ty was talking about was this general computing engine.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that's kind of above my head, but it was fascinating to hear how Project Babbage is really just showing how Bitcoin, how extensible it is, and how flexible it is, and how capable it is to do things that we never thought possible. So I'm fascinated about what they're doing there.
It's really fascinating.
Try and keep up. I try and listen. It was great to listen to Ty's talk at the BSV DevCon. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I feel like with something like this, it means that Bitcoin is probably going to be more capable of things that we still have no idea about. Something. I mean, BSV blockchain is something that just has longevity. Not only is it a stable protocol that you can trust, but it's turning out that it has capabilities that none of us could have imagined. I guess only Satoshi Nakamoto had an inkling of what this could be. But also, just like with most technology, I think even the inventors, when they invent something, don't know how that invention is going to be used. And we're definitely seeing that now when we see these conferences and we hear these from these innovators and how they are pushing the limits and going in directions none of us thought were possible. It really makes it a very exciting space and a long future of innovation lies ahead. So it's very exciting.
Very much so. Also, the WhatsOnChain guys with the Explorer services.
Yes, WhatsOnChain. That's a useful website. It's just a block explorer. They just make it possible for you to be able to just verify information. If you like, Centbee actually does sometimes refer back to WhatsOnChain, just to have a sanity check. We want to make sure that we haven't lost transactions or that our nodes are operating properly. So sometimes we use WhatsOnChain just to verify things and make sure what's in our systems is what's on WhatsOnChain. So they're a great block explorer if you want to just be able to check an address, check what balances are on that address, what transactions are linked to that address. That's a great website, WhatsOnChain.com.
Mr. G, I mean, there's, for me, the highlight about this conference is the 1 million per second transactions.
Right.
The Terranode.
Terranode, exactly. I mean, that is phenomenal.
I can imagine.
Terranode is the N-Chain project where they are building out a node software that can now process at least 1 million transactions per second. They were at the BSV DevCon and showed us all these charts, and you can just see the sustained 1 million transactions per second.
It was crazy.
And so these guys are doing amazing things and also just showing that Satoshi Nakamoto was right. He believed that there was no scaling ceiling, and all we needed to do was just write the software to be able to process these transactions. So the Terranode guys, they are really showing us this is possible. I mean, 1 million transactions per second already beats all the competitors. And I'm not talking about blockchain competitors. I think
existing,
just in traditional, payments, Visa, MasterCard.
All of them.
And that was their low limit. Mm-hmm. They are talking about 10 million, 100 million transactions per second. So this was now the greatest thing, I think, of the conference, is demonstrating that it is going to be possible to have BSV run many millions of transactions per second so that it can cater to all the transactions that the world can throw at it. Of course, payments, but all these other different things, ordinals, and also if we think about how blockchain can be integrated into Internet of Things. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the moment, when people think about that, they just think, how on earth is it going to be possible for a blockchain to be able to process that many transactions? But the guys at Terranode are clearly showing us that this is not only possible, but it's here today. Yeah. And it's going to be crazy to see, where things go in the next few months. Mm-hmm. This is now something that is also important about BSV. A lot of people are always wrapped up in the whole idea of BSV, like Craig Wright, and there's a lot of politics and a lot of drama behind the scenes. Of course, BSV is kind of the underdog of the crypto world. Not that it's crypto, but the blockchain world. And so all that now falls away because BSV is demonstrating massive scalability. So whether or not you like the people in the community, whether you think that BSV has a terrible brand and whatever it is, the point is now we have proof that Bitcoin SV can scale, and really is the only blockchain in the world today that has demonstrated the capabilities of being able to process all these transactions. And that is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter about the people, doesn't matter about the projects. What matters is scalability.
Like we keep saying, focus on the tech. What the tech is capable of, and then the proof is there.
Right, exactly. So Terranode to me is the one thing that you can point to in BSV to say BSV is winning.
Definitely.
There's no question anymore about it.
For me, that was like the summary of the conference. It's like you see all these cool things, and then Terranode was like, the summary of the possibility of all these things that you see here, because BSV blockchain is scalable. And that's the proof.
Yes, the proof is there. We've got the pudding, we're eating it, and we're seeing that it tastes like 1 million transactions per second. So right now, I mean, I think anybody who is considering blockchain, there's only one choice. There's only one option. I mean, not only is BSV now proving scalability, it's a fixed protocol. That is all the ingredients you need to have trust in a system like this. Can it scale? Is it fixed? And by being fixed means, is it decentralized? As we've touched on before about decentralization, if you can change the protocol, if there's a few people out there who can make huge decisions that can change the course of the blockchain's history, that's not decentralized. BSV is decentralized. It is a fixed protocol. And now we're seeing 1 million transactions per second. And as I said, that's just the kind of bottom of the number. I mean, I saw even bigger numbers.
That's the exciting part about it, actually, because it's like if 1 million is just only the first step of it, you can only imagine what it's capable of.
Exactly. These guys have they've got a great microservice architecture. They've split out the node to do all different things, and they're scaling it horizontally. And so, I mean, it's just amazing what they are managing to achieve. And the guys there, I mean, I'll say that, they are certainly geniuses to be able to do this. I mean, no one in the world is doing this. So it's really just pushing the limits of what can happen, and it's very exciting to see.
Mr. G, I mean, like we were saying, like there was pretty cool speakers there. Any notable names there?
Yeah, there were a lot of different speakers, not all of them blockchainers. This is the thing about the London Blockchain Conference, is that it's not just focusing on the developers. I mean, that was the BSV DevCon and the entrepreneurs. There were also a lot of speakers there who are from outside the BSV blockchain industry. And they came to give their take on the space and what they think about it. Guys like Scott Galloway, who is that popular podcaster, Professor
Prof G.
Prof G, the podcast Prof G.
Oh, yeah.
And Professor of Marketing at, what is that, School of Business? Anyway, so he was there, and Stephen Bartlett, also a popular podcaster, Shark Tank investor.
Diary of the CEO. Yeah.
Diary of a CEO.
Oh, yeah, those are like proper like dudes in the space of podcasting. So it's like nice to have like that sort of like notable voice, I guess.
Yes, just to hear what is their take. You know, of course, people in the BSV community, we're very excited about BSV, and we're excited about the potential future.
Yeah.
But it's good to get insight from people outside of the ecosystem to see if they see any value in a scalable, stable blockchain that can enable things that we talk about. And so it was great to get their opinions as well.
Yeah.
But of course, other speakers, investors. And so it's very important to get outside of the bubble, hear what people outside the space are thinking. You know, is this relevant? You know, does it really matter that we can get these 1 million transactions per second? Of course, we believe so. But, you know, it's important to hear from these people who have been successful CEOs, entrepreneurs, and who talk to other CEOs of businesses. What do they think? And it was great to get their perspective on the whole space.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Also, a great speaker, a great academic, and a great intellectual, and a great engineer, Owen Vaughan, who is also working at nChain. He gave an interesting talk about multiple blockchains. And if you need to interact and be able to work across blockchains, how can you do that? So he offered a proposal and a way that it is now possible to be able to, if you want to, not that I think that it would be necessary, but obviously we live in a multi-blockchain world at the moment. And so Owen Vaughan, he gave a talk on how we could create interoperability across blockchains.
Oh, that's cool.
So, you know, maybe it's a temporary thing. As I said, I don't believe there's going to be multiple blockchains. You know, we've got one internet, we've got one blockchain, and it scales. So, but it was great to hear Owen. He's really great to listen to.
For some reason, when you said that, when you mentioned that, when I thought of like multiple blockchains, like I couldn't think of it externally out of the BSV blockchain. I just thought like of another BSV blockchain, but not like another completely new blockchain.
I know it's hard to think about that, especially if you are like us. I mean, we believe in a single blockchain world. But you know, it's the world isn't like that yet, and who knows how long it's going to take for things to settle down. I mean, you would have thought now that the world would have moved away from this crypto mindset, but of course there are many blockchains out there. I mean, Ethereum is still there, and none of them have failed or collapsed. So for as long as we have these multiple blockchains, I guess it might be interesting to some to be able to see how they can interoperate across those different blockchains. But I don't see that as a long-term future. I mean, I really believe that it's going to be a BSV blockchain world.
I guess, I mean, that makes sense. We never had conversations of having parallel internets running, you know. We only know one internet protocol, and until today, we're still on that.
Yep, exactly. So, but it's very interesting to see, and it's relevant at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out.
Oh yeah, and also like you were saying, the usual guys like Conor Murray.
Steward of the blockchain protocol. Yes,
it was pretty cool, like meeting all those people. Like I only saw on video, got to put now, actual faces to them. So it was awesome.
Yes, exactly. Conor Murray, great guy. And Evan Freeman was there. We got to chat to Evan as well. He's the director of education at the BSV Academy. And I mean, he's a great guy.
Cool
dude. I mean, his whole goal in life is to make Bitcoin education easy to understand, and
even his passion, like when he speaks about it, man, like you can tell that he's dedicated to his mission.
Absolutely, he is passionate and very interesting, and also has just such a great take on the world. He's this very peaceful person, and it's nice to be able to interact with him and get his take on the whole space. Sometimes the space can be a little bit crazy, and so it's nice. Evan really adds a lot of calm to the space, and
real, man. That's why I'm like, you can sense it, because it's it's true dedication. You get to, sometimes like we read articles and stuff, we see them on video, but it's not as personal as just hearing directly from them,
Yeah, we did film a little bit of an interview with Evan, and unfortunately the sound was really awful. So what we'll try and do is recover that sound and maybe we can put it into this show. But it would be great to be able to just hear from him.
Yeah.
So we'll do our best to clean up that audio. And then another very important talk from Professor Ladid.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of a panel, and they were discussing IPv6.
Oh.
Now, IPv6 is about how the internet works and how internet addressing works. That's going to be very important if we want to have SPV become widespread. SPV is the Simple Payment Protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And it was defined in the Bitcoin white paper as a way to be able to make payments to people in a decentralized way, in an offline way.
Yeah.
And so a very critical part of making that a possibility, making that work, is the adoption of IPv6. IPv6, at the moment, most of the world is on IPv4. And the problem with IPv4 is that there are a limited number of addresses that you can have. And so IPv6, even though it's been around for, I don't know, maybe decades even, it's gradually growing. Adoption is growing around the world. ISPs and businesses are starting to adopt IPv6. But IPv6 is just an addressing system on the internet which has many more addresses, and it makes it possible now for individuals, maybe your mobile phone, to have a unique address on the internet. So in the case of me wanting to pay you a Bitcoin payment, then what I can do is I can connect directly to your device, and we can have a secure private connection between ourselves. We don't have to route through an ISP or something, which is how things work today.
Currently, yeah.
And then I can securely hand over a Bitcoin transaction to you, which then you can verify using the block headers and what's called the Merkle read.
Yeah.
So that was also a talk that happened, and it's great to see how IPv6 is growing in adoption. And of course, it's going to be critical if we want to make sure that IPv6, the way it was meant to be used, becomes reality.
I mean, that makes sense, especially in this techie world we live in. Everything now needs an IP address, basically. So even whether it's a boom gate where you need to make a microtransaction for entry, so such ideas, it makes sense. Yeah,
exactly. It's going to be very important to have every device connected with IPv6. Yeah. And then another interesting discussion was around AI, of course. We had to have an AI discussion. And that was really just showing how AI can also just improve analytics and make blockchain something that's more understandable. And I mean, we have a lot of data, blockchain data, and I've experimented with AI trying to see if we can generate reporting and that sort of thing. And so AI, of course, is everywhere. It's changing the world in all sorts of ways. And it's going to be interesting to see how blockchain can benefit from AI. It's definitely a very exciting space.
It is, Mr. G. Also, I saw, which was pretty cool, a way of trying to show how the BSV blockchain can benefit the health.
Yes, that has. I remember a few years ago at a blockchain conference, they talked about a healthcare company who is using the blockchain to be able to have verifiable records of patient histories, but obviously in a private way that couldn't be exposed. And so that was also a topic that was covered, blockchain in the healthcare industry. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how blockchain can touch that industry.
And also recovery of lost assets.
Oh yes, that's a very important topic. I mean, there's so many famous stories of people losing their bitcoins or their crypto, and the idea is, if you lose your keys, well, you lose your coins, and that's something that probably more than anything freaks people out about Bitcoin. The fact that if I lose my password to something, now I've lost all my money. I mean, that's crazy. And of course, BSV has always had the capability of being able to recover coins. Obviously, just the details need to be worked out. But again, given the nature of mining and all that, digital asset recovery is a very important topic. If you do lose money or if it gets stolen from you, then you can get a court to create an order that can then go and compel a miner to be able to recover those funds for that user. Obviously, there's a lot of legal stuff involved there, probably a lot of cost if you wanted to try and do this, but that's typical in any situation in normal life. If you do lose money, yes, you're going to have to go to a court and you're going to have to pay lawyers to figure it out, but at least the BSV blockchain has that capability of being able to recover digital assets. And so it was great to hear that topic as well being covered in the conference.
Earlier on, you spoke of the e-Naira, so which also shows as a continent, Africa is also trying to, advance its ways of how people can easily access money, So I checked out the Uganda shilling stablecoin.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome as well.
Yes, well, that's what we're seeing a lot of now, stable coins on BSV. I mean, Rock Wallet has the money product, MNEE, which I'm going to say now we're going to be integrating. Centbee is going to be looking at integrating these stable coins. And you mentioned the Uganda stable coin. Reginald Tumisani, I think his name is. He's driving that project, creating a stable coin. We also met with some Koreans who are creating a Korean won stable coin on BSV. So I think this is just going to this is just a natural thing for Centbee. We've always looked at BSV as cash, but given the state of crypto today and the speculative nature of everything and the volatility of the prices, I think that one of the things around Centbee, even though it's a great product, people like it, it's that instability that just makes you reluctant to want to really get stuck into using it. And so we're going to be doing that now over the next coming weeks and months. We're going to be integrating the USD stablecoin into Centbee.
You heard it first here, guys.
So look out for that. And then, of course, we're going to try and do other stable coins, Korean won, that'll be cool, and that Uganda shilling.
That's pretty cool, Mr. G, because regarding the fact that, people are trying to survive in the world, and fees and prices are a factor in also how they spend their money, So at least having a stable, indication of your currency brings more adoption more than anything, I believe so.
Yes, it'll give a kind of confidence. And so, I mean, we still will be using BSV in the wallet, so you'll still be able to have your BSV cash. But now having the ability to have a USD stablecoin just brings that confidence, that stability. I believe that that's going to really get users more interested, and we'll start getting a lot more users involved.
Definitely.
So one day BSV will be stable, I think, when people realize it's commodity value and it won't just be you being speculated on. But until that day comes, we definitely need to bring a bit more stability into the wallet. And so something I've resisted for a long time, but I see the value in it now, and pretty excited about bringing USD into Centbee. Okay, so I mean, that was a kind of rundown on what happened at the BSV blockchain, or the London blockchain conference. And it was very exciting. We loved it.
It was awesome.
It was great to have you there. And you were just rocking the booth, handing out merch.
I was a booth babe.
You were the booth babe, and I think people really appreciated having you there. It was nice to have you.
By the way, shout out to Cornell as well.
Yes, Cornell as well. Cornell came, joined us at the booth and worked his butt off. So thanks, Cornell, for that.
That was awesome.
So it was a great conference. And if you want to know more, just go check out the londonblockchain.net site, and you can see more of the agenda and who was speaking there. And of course, they're going to be releasing all these videos that you can go and watch. So the talks that we've touched on now, you'll be able to watch them on the London Blockchain YouTube channel probably. Definitely worth it. I'm sure they'll have some B-roll footage of the conference, and you can see how fun and exciting it was. We'll definitely put some pictures of our booth over here. We're going to maybe even put one of our booth panels here.
From the coming weeks, you're going to be flexing,
So be sure to catch those talks and learn about where BSV is going and where it's really making a difference in people's lives.
And also, Ms. G, apologies, guys. We've been a little bit caught up in the conference, which, it was pretty much like us getting like proper content to give back to you guys. So apologies for not having to be posting last week. So I guess the show will make up for that. So remember to drop us some comments and subscribe. You know the drill by now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we always intend having our weekly show, but it was exceptional. And I mean, we just ran we were on our feet 24/7, it seemed. But we're back. We're
back.
recovering slowly. I'm
Yeah.
catching up some sleep.
Yeah.
And we're going to be keep our weekly show going.
Yeah.
Thanks for always watching us and your comments. You know, we really appreciate it. We got a lot of good feedback at the conference about the show, so it feels like we're doing something at least, that's contributing to the ecosystem.
Yeah. By the way, Ms. G, there was some confidence boosting type of feedback from people, because it's about we are also trying to set foot into this battle and push the right message for people to understand why BSV exists in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. So keep the comments coming. Give us feedback. If there's things you want to know about, if there's topics you want us to cover, just let us know. And of course, we're going to be right there for you and trying to expose and to explain all these difficult concepts.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I guess that's it, hey?
That's it, Mr.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us here on the Centbee Show. Please come back soon.
Back to regular schedule.
Okie dokie.
Everyone who's interested in the future of the transforming technology should be here.